Okay, so this is Michael Goldstein here with Kitchen Remodeling SEO, and we are here today to run our 2022 webinar on how to maximize your lead flow through pay-per-click and Google Ads. Today is April 21st, 2022, and I want to thank everybody for joining us here today, as well as anyone watching the replay at Kitchen Remodeling SEO. So what we're going to do today really is we're going to talk a lot about Google Ads. We're going to talk about, actually, give me one moment. I'm sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here. So we're going to talk a lot about Google Ads. We're going to talk a lot about how they have changed over the last year or so. We're going to talk about how you can use Google Ads and other pay-per-click avenues to generate more interest for your kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling company. So a few things that we want to go over here are, for the next hour or so, I just need your attention. I want everyone to turn off their cell phones, turn off Facebook notifications, TikTok, Instagram, whatnot. Because if you're serious about doubling or even tripling the leads that you can generate for your kitchen remodeling or home remodeling company, then the next 60 minutes or so are going to be really critical for you. So what are we going to cover today? Basically, why PPC, which is short for pay-per-click, it's simply an unlimited and a scalable way to generate leads for your business. Essentially, it's kind of just a key that you can turn if you need to get more leads in a hurry. I'm going to give you some live examples of some pay-per-click campaigns where we have been able to generate anywhere from 5 to 15 times both the ad spend and the management fees combined for other home remodeling companies throughout the country, in Georgia, in South Carolina, in Los Angeles, in Michigan, and the likes. And we're going to talk about really how to set up and how to structure your Google Ads so that you can really generate the best return on investment with the lowest possible ad spend. And finally, we're going to talk about how do you know your campaign is working. We're going to talk about KPIs, the key performance indicators. What are we tracking? What our landing pages need to look like? What does the campaign structure need to be? What are the difference between keywords for positives and keywords for negatives, and the like. So if you stay till the end, one of the nice things that we are going to be offering is a special bonus. Is we actually have just come out with our newest book, Kitchen Remodeler's Guide to Local SEO and Google Maps. And anyone who has signed up for this, we are going to email a free copy of that. So just before we get started, I want to explain to you who I am and really why you might want to consider listening to me. I know there's hundreds and hundreds of people out there who claim to be experts in digital marketing. This is not a sales pitch. We're not promoting kitchen remodeling SEO or our services. This is really for educational purposes to teach you what you can do and show you some actionable steps that you can take on your own. But just as background as to where I've gotten this knowledge and why you might want to consider what I have to say is, again, I'm the author of a couple of books, the most recent one being the complete guide to kitchen remodelers for SEO and local maps. We are an industry partner with the Kitchen and Bath Association, spoken at numerous events. We've been published in on Fox, on NBC, on ABC, and the like. Our team is actually certified in Google Ads. We have managed over $100,000 monthly, that should say monthly, not annually, in Google Ads spend last year alone. So the real question is, there's a lot of things going on in terms of digital marketing. You have SEO. You have pay-per-click, you have social media, you have email marketing, all types of content marketing. So should PPC be part of your overall internet marketing campaign? And what we always do is we look at the whole sphere of digital marketing. What are the different options that you have available to you? You have, like I said, you have SEO, you've got pay-per-click, and within pay-per-click, you have kind of cold outreach, and then you have retargeting. Retargeting meaning going after the folks who have already shown an interest in some service that you've offered, some content you've put out there. There's paid directories, there's social media, there's link building, press releases, and the like. So looking at this all as a whole, there isn't really one specific avenue that you want to follow, but rather you want to be able to kind of be omnipresent everywhere. Pay-per-click certainly is a big chunk of that. So why should pay-per-click be part of your marketing strategy? Well, first of all, when you're dealing with something like SEO, when you're dealing with something like email marketing, it takes a little bit of time to develop credibility and authority. With pay-per-click, you're going to start to show up really quickly. You're going to show up as often as possible when your customers are actually looking for your services. When people are proactively looking for kitchen remodeling, for cabinet refacing, for countertop installation, whatever it might be, they're going to put in those very unique search terms, and you're going to show up as long as you're buying into the ad system. You're also going to show up for non-geo-modified terms. So, for example, it's a whole lot easier to show up on Google if we're in Denver, Colorado, and someone puts in Denver kitchen remodeling, it's much more likely than if someone just puts in kitchen remodeler or kitchen remodeling, home renovation, things like that. Pay-per-click allows you to jump ahead, and really you can kind of get to that #1 spot a whole lot easier without putting in the 6 to 12 months of hard work that takes in SEO. You can essentially buy your way in. And because of that, the scalability aspect of this is truly unlimited, in that it doesn't matter if you have a certain amount of leads, you can always get more leads by buying into more ads. The key is you don't want to just throw money away. You want to see that there is a return on investment with pay-per-click, because there's a lot of keywords out there that people will searching for, you could show up for, and you don't really want to. So we're going to talk a little bit later today also about negative keywords. So why do most PPC campaigns fail? That's really the biggest thing, is people, have been doing pay-per-click and been doing Google ads for decades now. And a lot of times you think, well, all I got to do is just throw some money at it, buy a couple of keywords. I'll pay for the term kitchen remodeling. Every time kitchen remodeling comes up, I'm going to show up and I'm going to get lots of clients. Well, what happens is people fail to understand that, there's an ad process, there's an auction process, and especially in the home improvement industry, you don't want to just spend money for the sake of spending money. You want to make sure that you understand that when one person spends more money than you, if you don't have it set up properly, you might end up then actually jumping ahead of them, spending even more and more and more, because you don't have a limit set, in which case, yes, you may get a bunch of leads, but at what cost? You want to set up one ad group for all services. That's what a lot of people, or I should say, you don't want to set up one ad group for all your services. So, for example, if you have kitchen remodeling, you may have full kitchen remodels. You may have just cabinets. You may do just countertops. You might do just the kitchen design aspect of it. It could be bathrooms. They could be basement remodeling, all of that. Each of those different service areas should have their own separate ad group. They should have a campaign specifically for those. So when people are searching for that, you can really tailor your message to what it is that they want to see. Now, a lot of people, they don't use specific ad text. They simply let, they let their landing pages kind of do the talking for them. And in order to get people to those landing pages, you have to have the right message and the right text to get them to click over. Just showing up, #1, #2, because you have a Google ad does not mean anyone's ever going to click on it, and certainly doesn't mean anyone's going to go to your website, to your landing page, and read what you put there. And then we're talking about the landing pages, the call to action. What do you want somebody to do once they land on your page? Do you want them to call you then? Do you want them to fill out a form? Another big piece of that is, do you want them to, for example, take the action and then leave your site, or do you want to redirect them elsewhere? One of the big problems is navigation. A lot of people just take their regular website and they allow their navigation on their site to sit on the landing page. You're giving people too many options. You want them to take a specific action and nothing but that specific action. So what are, just kind of in general, let's talk about takeaways. What might we've learned already. And that, that is that pay-per-click is not just a DIY, throw it up, set it and forget it, but there is a lot to it. There is a lot of analysis. There's a lot of testing that goes into it. There's a lot of thought that you need to put into your messaging. So if you don't put that in up front, you're probably not going to see the return on investment. And the further we delve into today's webinar, the more we're going to talk about that, and we're going to figure out exactly what it is we need to do. So first, let's look at a case study. You know, in our company, Kitchen Remodeling SEO, we are a Google partner. Like I said, we've done about $100,000 to $125,000 a month in managed ad spend. So, you know, we have seen a lot of what goes on. But looking just at one of our clients here. So we have a client who's got a couple locations. They got a location in Savannah, Georgia. They have a location in Hilton Head, South Carolina. What we have done is we have been running a very specific type of Google ad for this client called a call only ad, which targets people who are only on cell phones. Why is that? Because when you're on a cell phone and you're seeing the ad, you're more likely to respond. If you're searching on your phone, you're probably ready to make that call. We don't want to show that type of an ad just to anybody, because the messaging is really about picking up the phone or just hitting that button right there, dialing on your phone. So if we look at, you know, over the past, and I believe this is over the course of the last 3 months. So this client has spent just over $19,000 in total ad spend. What have they received? They've received 5,000 plus clicks. But more importantly, what they received is 242 actual phone calls. And 40 people have actually gone and filled out forms on their website after they've called them. So that gives them a total of 282 legitimate leads from a $19,000 ad spend. What that tells us is 6% of the time that their ad has been seen, somebody has either clicked on the ad or has actually called them. That's an average of $3.52 per click, which is really, really good in this industry, and an average cost per lead of $67.95. So think about that. If you can close, let's say, 1 out of every 3 people, that means for just over $200, you're going to get a kitchen remodeling client. The average kitchen remodel, you know, is somewhere in the $25,000 to $50,000 range in this area of the country, at least. So let's look at the you know, the results of this campaign. So 224 leads. Now, even if you had a conversion rate of only 30%, that would give you 40%. That would give you 67 jobs booked. Average ticket, let's just say we're doing refacing ads. You know, so it's a lower level type of service, $9,000. 67 jobs and $9,000, you have $600,000 plus in actual revenue. If your ad spend and your PPC management fees, let's say you spend $26,000 over the first quarter, $603,000 divided by that ad spend and management fees shows a 22 times return on investment. I mean, I can't imagine in any industry where if or any investment where if you could get $22 back for every $1 you invest, you wouldn't do it. Now, if you want to see the full testimonial of how our client Kitchen Design Solutions fared and what they thought about working with us, and more importantly, what they thought about the strategy and how it helped them, you can check out the this YouTube video that we've posted right here. And for anyone who would like to see it, if you can't copy this down right now, just shoot us an email or just message us, put something in the message, and we will put that link right in the chat. So, key insights here. What have we learned here? We've learned that pay-per-click, if done right, if managed properly, if the right extensions are chosen and the right strategies used, can generate a massive return on investment. So let's talk a little bit about how do we actually set up and how do we structure our Google Ads marketing campaigns so that we are getting that high ROI and we're not incurring a huge cost per lead. So the first thing that you want to do is you need to know what your results were. You've got to make sure you have tracking set up. If you don't have tracking set up, if you're not tracking every aspect, every avenue where someone's coming from, you're losing. So your campaign's got to be broken into smaller ad groups. Also, like I said originally, you don't want to just set up kitchen remodeling ad group or even worse, home remodeling ad group. You want to kind of break it down into the various types of services. And even if it is only one service you think you're offering, we offer full kitchen remodeling. Well, you may offer full kitchen remodeling, but how do people find out about it? What are they searching for? They might be more interested in the cabinet aspect. They might be more interested in the design aspect, or in the the backsplash and styling. They may be interested in lighting and things to that extent. So you want to, even if it is a fully all-encompassing service you're providing, you still want to break that up into different segments and different service areas. And you also want to make sure that you have a strong understanding of the keyword match types, and that you think about what are the types of searches that people might make that you absolutely do not want to come up for, that being negative keywords. One example would be the term cheap. The term affordable, oftentimes you may not want to come up for, other times you really might. It really depends. And you want to write very compelling text ads that resonate with your customer. And why we say this is Google Ads is a little different than social media ads. So with a Facebook ad, with a TikTok ad, a YouTube, an Instagram, there's a lot of visual aspect to it. It may be video, or may just be a picture, but it's visual and it gives, you can show before and afters, you can have videos of testimonials. Text ads, you don't have that. You've got to get them, you got to hook them in the first literally 1 second. So you need to make sure that the ad speaks to what it is that your customer really wants, not what it is that you want to offer. And then you definitely want to leverage different type of ad extensions that make your ad stand out. So that could be local extensions. It could be phone extensions. There's a whole host of them. We're going to get into those in a bit. But you want to make sure that you're not just running a general ad. Running Google ads is like going to the hospital. You don't want to just see any doctor. You want to see the doctor who specializes in what it is that you have an issue with. You want to run ad extensions that speak to somebody with a particular need. And you have to land visitors really in a very solid, well thought out landing page. You want to make sure that your landing page, again, doesn't have all of this navigation at the top that allows somebody to kind of go away from your page before they follow your call to action. You want to make absolutely certain that you have a very specific call to action. What are you asking that person to do when they get to that landing page? Is it to pick up the phone? Is it to fill out a form to request a consultation? Are you asking them to download something? Whatever it is, that landing page has to be really specific to just that call to action and nothing but that call to action. And then one of the biggest pieces of any PPC campaign is, like I said, it's testing, it's analytics. We do a lot of what we call A/B testing in our agency, where we'll take almost the exact same ad and we'll just change one little thing about it. It might be the headline, it might be the type of audience, it might even be the time of day that the ads are running. But you want to test and tweak, but only one thing at a time, so you can really isolate it and you can dial in. And you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on those ads until you have it dialed in. We recommend no more than $15, $20 a day in ad spend on any one campaign until it's really dialed in before you want to put any real budget behind it. So the biggest takeaway here is don't think for 1 second about spending another dime, another penny on your Google ads until you have your tracking in place and you know what it is that you need to track. So one of the other things that we want to know is if people are calling us, are they calling from which Google ad are they calling us, or even what type of campaign are they calling us? So you can set up something called dynamic number swapping. There's a lot of different companies out there that allow you to do this. Twilio is one, CallRail is one. There's a host of them, like I said. And what happens is they will actually see the same phone number on the front end, but on the back end, you're able to track which campaign that came from. You also want to look at a kind of a keyword pool with dynamic number swapping so that you can track the phone calls based on what specific keywords someone searched for. You may have 3, 4 ads that all have similar keywords, So it's not just about the campaign, but also how do they get to that particular ad. Another big piece is forms, is when someone fills out a form, which form did they fill out? Did they fill out a form on your landing page? Did they go to your landing page, said, that's nice, but they didn't really do anything. But they remembered you and they came back 2 days later to your website. They filled out a form there. Track the process by which someone comes the first time they come to you, where they go. Do they go to your website? Do they fill out the form right on the landing page? Do they fill out the form on your website? Did they then see you again through a retargeting ad, where maybe it wasn't the first time they saw the ad or the first time they clicked on the ad? You really want to know what that process is. And then conversion tracking obviously is built into your AdWords campaign, but you also want to make sure that you use Google Tag Manager, or there's some way that you have to track which groups are generating the most leads and which groups are generating leads that then ultimately convert into design consultations and then even into actual sales. So that's important because we may want to eliminate, we may want to merge campaigns. It really depends on what's working, what isn't. And that's why that kind of isolation testing is so important. So what are some of the most important KPIs that we look at? Well, obviously your ad spend is the kind of be all and end all in terms of determining, do you have a solid ROI? We also want to look at the average cost per click, but it's kind of a deceiving metric, because just because somebody clicks on an ad doesn't mean they're really doing anything with it. So the big piece is, what is the average cost per lead? They've clicked on the ad, great. They've gone to a landing page, they've gone to a lead form, wherever it is that they've gone, they've made a phone call. What is the conversion and what makes that conversion a lead? So the cost per lead is really the thing that we pay the most attention to, not so much just that you've clicked. You don't want traffic, you want at-bats. So looking at some of the really important kind of cost per lead averages that we have seen across the board, working with dozens of kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling companies across the country. Cabinet refacing seems to be one of the real big ones right now, and they're running anywhere from $35 to $55 a lead. The term kitchen remodeling itself, it's a little bit higher end, but it also is a little more open-ended, and people may, they may not be looking for really what you want. Right now it's running $55 to $80 per lead, but the problem with kitchen remodeling is it could lend itself to someone who they just want to replace one cabinet versus somebody who wants a full remodel. They want to do the backsplash, the countertops, they want to move walls. It depends on what it is. So that's why we talk about having each service setting it up within its own ad group. Custom cabinets is actually one of the best generators in terms of ROI, $15 to $30 per lead. But again, you run the risk in something like this. Are they looking to buy custom cabinets and have you install them, or is this a DIYer? And if it is, unless you have an online store and you're just selling cabinets, these are terms that you want to be careful of. So that's why it's so important to really dial in what your messaging is, but even more so what your offer is and what what the avatar is that you want. Who is that perfect customer for you? And then of course, return on investment. At the end of the day, just like total ad spend, are you making 22 times your ad spend? Are you doing a dollar for dollar offset? Are you losing money on it? That's really the telltale sign of whether or not your ad campaign is working. So if you can track true ROI, it's even better. So this is just an example of one, of a client who essentially is looking at what do they spend, what do they make, how many leads are they getting, how many book design consultations, and how many sales out of those. And we pay a lot of attention, obviously, to the SEO end of it, as well as to the pay-per-click end of it. So your campaign, and not to be a dead horse, but it really does need to be broken down into these smaller ad groups where we're only looking at the specific service and have those texts that really match what that service is. So you're looking at things like kitchen design, bathroom design. Is it a countertop issue? If it's a countertop ad, is it just countertops? Are we looking at quartz countertops? Are we even going further? Let's say, do we just want to promote, our Cambria quartz countertop service? We want to make sure that whatever it is that the ad is targeting is really specific to that. And then what we can do is we can compare the results of the different pieces, and we might want to create then a more overriding campaign, but that then lends itself to how do you optimize the landing page? What are people really looking for? So when we're setting everything up, we're looking at our Google ads, we're looking at the keywords that we're trying to target, but we're also looking at how people are searching for those. Are we looking for exact keywords? Are we looking for phrase matches? Are we, and we want to also look at what is the headline. Are you using that terminology specifically in your ad? Because again, you only get about 1 second. This is a text ad. This is very different from Facebook, very different from TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, where you might have video. This is text-based, so you've got to really reach the audience very quickly. So with that in mind, let's talk about the type of keywords. So we have broad match keywords, we have modified broad match keywords, we have phrases, and we have exact match. So how does this all work? Well, a broad match basically means, and let's just take the term remodeler. Anybody who uses the term remodeler anywhere within their search query, your ad may show up for them. A modified broad match might be, using remodeler plus one other term. We tend not to like to use broad match terms because it lends itself to people who they just ramble on and on and on, a lot of voice to text. We prefer to use only phrase match and exact match. So let's say that, we want the term remodeler near me to be inside of the search. Now, it could be, show me a remodeler near me. That's a phrase match, but it's not an exact match. Exact match is only going to be the very specific remodeler near me. That's it. I just want someone who's searching for Dallas kitchen remodeler. Whereas phrase match, I might just have the term kitchen remodeler, and now Dallas kitchen remodeler shows up. So what we're getting at is the more specific you make the search, the better the potential prospect is. However, the rub on this is as you get more specific from broad to phrase to exact, the cost generally does go up. Now, additionally, we want to pay really special attention to negative keywords. What is a negative keyword? It means this is something that someone may be searching for. It might include the keyword that you're targeting, but you want to make sure that it does not come up. Let's say we're using the phrase match remodeler near me, and someone puts in cheap remodeler near me. You don't want to come up for the term cheap. So you would not show up for that particular person. Some of the things that we look at in terms of negatives that we always want to incorporate, anything having to do with jobs, careers, associations, the word cheap especially, oftentimes the word free. A lot of this, people who could be looking for remodeling jobs near me, things like that, remodeling careers, remodeling, install job, anything like that. And then obviously you want to add in a lot of the other real nonsense that you might see out there, pornography and gambling and things like that. They just don't even entertain. I don't care how they're phrasing it. You don't want to waste ad spend on that stuff. So we've talked a little bit about writing compelling text ads. But what does that mean? So you want to tell your audience exactly what you want them to do. What is that call to action? What are you asking them to do that will make them a converted lead? So if you have a special offer for the service they search for, put that in there. Get a 10% off custom cabinets, something to that extent, or fill out a form. Call in the next 24 hours, and you can run ads that are time sensitive to get whatever the offer may be. But you really only want to give one call to action. Don't ask them to call or fill out a form. It's going to confuse people. It's giving them too many options, and they may decide to do nothing. The same thing on your landing pages is make sure your landing pages doesn't use your website navigation. Why? Not because you don't want them to know who you are or to go to your website or to learn more about you, but because the more options you give people, the less likely they are to actually complete the specific call to action that you've asked them to do. So this is just an example of some of the better performing text ads that we have used. You want to make sure that the text ad really jumps off the page with specific extensions. And this is where we talked before about extensions like local extensions, phone extensions, things to that extent. So you can add that phone number. And the nice thing is with everybody on mobile these days, they see the phone number, it's a one-click and they're calling you. Now you can actually have specific call extensions, or you can have phone call only extensions. The difference there being is a phone call only extension, the ad is only going to target people who are on a smartphone. They've got to be on an iPhone, an Android, something where they can literally just call with the click of a button. And the text that you use within that should be very different than the text you may use in the message if you want someone to come to a landing page. These are for people who want to have conversation. They want to have them right now. Local extensions, you want to add in your address. Now, one of the benefits of using local extensions is, and this doesn't happen every time, but if you have a Google business profile, or people used to call them GMBs, on the maps, you can oftentimes get your map listing featured above everybody else in that area. This is exceptionally powerful if you are, let's say, 5 or 6 cities away from where the searcher is. So if I want to have a local extension, for example, in Miami, Florida, and I happen to be in Fort Lauderdale, then people in people in Miami, Florida are never going to see my Google business profile because of the proximity. But if I have the local extensions turned on and I've targeted that town, there's a very good chance they will see my map listing as a sponsored listing. So you want to make your ads pop, obviously, with the call extensions. I mean, that's the biggest piece, because oftentimes, especially people who are on phones, like I said, they want to have that conversation right away. You also can have these call out extensions where you're offering some sort of enticing offer to get them to call in right away. The local extensions, again, really, really important, even more so for the maps. And just something that a lot of people don't know about Google Maps is that 70% of people searching for home services do not go beyond the map area. And a lot of them, quite frankly, do ignore the ads, the text ads. But what happens is if you have the local extension turned on and your GBP, your Google Business Profile map shows up, yeah, it says sponsored on it, but most people don't recognize it. They don't see it, and they will click on it because it's the first one. So once you've got your ad set up, you've got the call to action built into the ad, you get them to click over, and let's presume this is not a call only ad, but you're actually trying to bring them into some sort of a landing page. You want to make sure you have a landing page designed to capture them and to not give them many other options. So you want to accelerate your lead flow. What are the things that we've gone over that you absolutely have to do? Tracking, obviously, is the most important aspect, because if you can't track it, you don't know what's happening. So your campaign really needs to be broken down into smaller ad groups. You want to test the different types of services that you have, even if you're doing full kitchen remodels, full bath remodels. If you're doing full bath remodels, it doesn't mean you don't run ads for tub to shower conversion. It just means that you want to create a landing page that talks about the full bath remodel, but how do you get them there? You got to have that hook in there. And that might be whatever the smaller service is. You want to make sure that you have a strong understanding of the keyword match types. Is it a broader audience you're looking for? Is it a really, really specific search you're looking for and you want that exact match And by gosh, you got to make sure that you have those negative keywords in place. I would say that our agency probably spends more time on negative keywords than we do on the actual keywords that we're trying to get people to click on. Reason being is we don't want to waste ad spend. Our clients have a limited budget. You might be spending $50, $100 a day, whatever it might be, but that's all you're spending, and you don't want to waste on someone who's looking for just the raw, for cheap. You don't want to waste on some. I mean, perfect example is, especially in this space, cabinet refacing versus custom cabinets. A lot of our clients will not touch cabinet refacing. So if someone's looking for cabinet refacing, or even worse, refinishing, painting, things like that, we want to make sure that we filter those folks out and that we don't waste a penny on them. And obviously, in addition to making sure that your ad shows up for the right keywords and not the wrong ones, when it does show up, you want to make sure that the text is, and the messaging really speaks to what it is that that ad is about. These are very small. We're talking 2 lines of text here. You don't have a lot of time to waste. So you want to get to the point, but you also want to make an offer. And what I would tell you, and what I would caution most people on, is that a Google ad is truly only as good as the offer that it makes. And if all you're going to offer is a free consultation, you might want to think about a different way, a different offer, because everybody offers a free consultation. But maybe, talk about the premium product that you use, or, meet with an experienced remodeler. Don't settle for a handyman, things to that extent can go a lot further. So you want to differentiate yourself in some way. And then, of course, we want to leverage the ad extensions. We want to make our ads stand out on the page. And then to land visitors, we really need well thought out landing pages that have a very unique call to action. The CTA has got to be kind of prime. And then what I like to do is I actually have the CTA as a sticky if I am going to add more information. Sometimes on landing pages, we want to show before and after photos. We want to have customer testimonials down below. But by gosh, as you scroll, we want to make sure that the form or the button to call is always following the user. So what are really the key takeaways? What have we learned today? I think the biggest thing here that most people tell me is that Google Ads, it's not really a DIY process unless you're really going to be in it for the learning process and you're going to do a lot of testing. You want to make sure that you really leverage all the different tools that Google gives you, from the extensions to the negative keywords to the proper bidding and understanding the auction process. And the other big piece that I always find as a takeaway is don't put a lot of money into these Google ads until they're really dialed in. Keep that ad spend fairly low, do a lot of A/B testing, and then once you have that perfect ad, then you can put a lot behind it and you can pour gasoline on the ad. But until then, really treat it like, the ad is in school. So there's a couple of things that we always suggest that you want to ask your Google ad provider. And the reason that you ask this is because you want to make sure you're with the right type of person. If you're not going to do it yourself, that is. So the first thing is, how much of my budget is going to go to Google Ads versus management fees? I would caution you, anybody who says, oh, well, we charge just a flat fee every month and we include your ad spend in that. You don't know how much of that ad spend is really going to Google and how much they're just putting in their pocket. They might charge you $2,500 and only spend $100 on ads. I would honestly make sure that I ask somebody to separate that out for me. And they also give you access. Make sure you have access to your Google ad account. What type of tracking are they going to be putting in place? Are they going to use tracking of just the forms, of just clicks? Are they going to track phone numbers, and so you know which ads are working where? And again, if you don't have web and call tracking in place, there's just no way for you to know if the ad is really working. Also, are you gonna separate out PPC calls from organic calls? A lot of times, if you don't have a separate phone number, it's very hard to tell the difference, because when you look at Google Analytics, for example, it may say, this person came from Google. Well, what part of Google? Was it organic? Was it a local extension? Was it a regular PPC ad? Was it a call? I mean, what is it? So that's really critical. And then also, how are we going to track the key performance indicators? What are we going to be looking at in the dashboard, and what are we going to have access to? So that's a big thing, is you want to make sure that it's just not something where you only get to see a report at the end of the month, and you only get to see the report of what the provider wants to share with you. You really want to make sure, if you're working with a PPC provider, there's full transparency, and you know that how much you're spending for a lead, how much you're spending for a click, how much you're spending for calls. And then finally, who's setting up the landing pages? Who's setting up the ad, the ad groups that go to these different landing pages? Do you own the landing pages? Quite frankly, are these, just something that the provider sets up on their end for you? And I think with that, are they split testing landing pages? Are they split testing ad groups? Are they split testing, keyword lists and all of that? And then also, are they going to be leveraging the extensions? And then, in addition to that, kind of what are the targets in terms of actual leads, actual calls, actual clicks? One of the things that we typically say is, if you're not getting at least 25 leads a month, then you're probably not doing something right. And it may be that you don't have enough budget behind it. It may be that you don't have negative keywords set up. It may be that you have too many negative keywords set up. So you want to understand, kind of from their experience, what they anticipate to happen. And if it's not happening at the end of 30 days, at the end of 60 days, you want to ask the question, why? So without, and I didn't want this to become a promotional piece about Kitchen Remodeling SEO and our company. Just a couple of things, what we do, whether you work with us, whether you work on your own, you work with someone else, these are things that I always advise people to take away and to try and implement. Split testing ad groups based on, different kitchen remodeling businesses is really important. We always set up conversion, optimized landing pages. If they're not set up to convert, then why do you even have them? Make sure that your tracking is set up. You're using dynamic phone numbers. You're tracking web form versus landing page form. If you're also doing maybe a display app using the Google Display Network, for retargeting, for example, how many times has someone seen one of your ads before they fill it out? All of that is really important. You need to know really where all of your leads are coming from, and then what keywords within your ad campaigns drove calls, what drove forms to be filled out, and what was the cost to drive that? What is the cost per lead? I can't tell you how many times people deal with this CPC, cost per click. Well, listen, your cost per click is only 25 cents. Your cost per click is $5, whatever. Who cares what your cost per click is? Because you don't make money when people click on you. You make money when you make a sale. You make, and you can't make a sale if you don't have a real lead. So what I would always do is make sure that you are paying attention to how much does it cost to get someone to pick up the phone and call my business? How much does it cost to get someone to fill out a form so that I can then reach out to them? Or in the very worst, if I can't connect with them, I can put them into my long-term nurture sequence. And now I can start sending them text messages, email automation, things to that extent. And then also, do they offer a KPI dashboard? That's really important. You want to make sure you have complete transparency so you always know what's happening, because you're spending a lot of money on ads. And just because you're getting sales in doesn't mean that you're getting the sales in from the Google ad. You could have a marvelous SEO campaign that's driving all the traffic, or the inverse. You may be spending $1,500 a month on SEO. You're only spending $200 a month in ad spend, and you're getting a ton of leads. Well, why not shift and put a lot more into the ad spend, or the inverse? So that's why it's really, really important to have those KPIs. Now, we talked a lot about stuff today that people can certainly do on their own. Google ads and pay-per-click in general, it's not rocket science, but it does take a lot of time to dial in the campaigns. And often, when you work with somebody who will just work with, any industry, they're not experts in any one area. They will rely heavily on your influence, what you want to say, how you want to say, things to that extent. But if you are looking for a little bit of help in this area, feel free to reach out to us anytime. Shoot us an email, give us a phone call. And we can always set you up with a we do a free digital marketing analysis for anyone who reaches out to us. We don't charge anything. We just like to engage with people in the industry, quite frankly. That's why we're members of the National Kitchen and Bath Association, because we live and breathe this industry and only this industry. So if you do want us to take a look for you, again, totally free, we'll do a video for you, and then we'll set up a call even after you've seen the video. We'll do an analysis of your online visibility. What keywords that you should be using if you're not using them. We run ranking reports based on those keywords so that you can see where you actually currently rank versus your competitors. We do an analysis of your directory listings. From a search engine optimization standpoint, you want to know that your name, your address, and your phone number is consistent across the board, because that affects your quality score, your page quality. And believe it or not, the better your quality of your page, the less Google charges you for ad spend. And we do an analysis, obviously, of your online reviews and your reputation, because at the end of the day, that's the one thing that really could kill a business. If you have a bad reputation, if you have 20 reviews and 18 of them are 2-star and below, I don't care how good your ads are, no one's going to click on you, because the minute they do any research, especially if you're using local extensions, they're going to see that. We do an analysis of your social presence. Are you advertising on Facebook? Are you advertising on Instagram? If not, is there an opportunity? Are you posting? What is it that you're doing to really create that engagement with the community? We also do an analysis of the effectiveness of your website. Is it built to convert? And if it isn't built to convert, we'll actually show you some of the things that you can do on your own, show you actionable steps you can take. For example, do you have a sticky menu that follows you down the page? Is your title set up properly? Do you have the right type of pages and the content, things to that extent? So that's pretty much what we had here. I want to thank everybody for coming today. And then if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call anytime at 339-645-9461. Shoot us an email. You can always contact me directly, Mike at kitchenremodelingSEO.com. Check out the website, www.kitchenremodeling, S as in Sam, E as in Edward, O as in octopus.com. Love to hear from you. Love to hear what you thought about this. For those of you who have joined me live today, thank you very much. For those of you who are watching the replay, thank you very much. And we look forward to speaking with you soon. All right, bye-bye.